Hey guys, Amay here. Happy Fool. Happy Fool, full moon. And actually, oh no, wait, I have 7 seconds to impress you. Don't let me forget that. YouTube reminds me of this. So let's have a moment of silence for 7 seconds so I can throw off the algorithm. Because you know what? I don't care. I don't care. So, I mean, I do care. I love if you are here and you are listening and you love language and the zodiac and patterns and symbolism to basically, essentially decode this holographic system. If this is something that intrigues you, then I'm glad you're here. Of course. But what I mean, my comments are more along the lines or intended, excuse me, for YouTube. It should be called SkewTube. SkewTube for skewing and scrambling the mind as well as the storage control unit. So I just did a video recently on Star Wars. Now, I literally watched just occasionally. I mean, I don't sit there and obsessively. I just occasionally would keep an eye on SkewTube and see essentially like how the numbers were. I swear to you, it is so interesting. The algorithm is real. YouTube, she giveth and she taketh away. So I watch how I'm just so restricted. And I've heard this before from people, even people that are subscribed that don't receive updates on my videos. And what I'll notice is sometimes it's the more controversial. So the Star Wars video that I just did, as I was saying, did have a couple of controversial uh, comments or comments in there, you know, a couple of statements that I suppose could be considered controversial. And then what I notice is that those that are a bit more in depth or or more likely to not appeal to the YouTube algorithm or the agenda, if you will, of the mainstream, then those will get more and more restricted. And I can tell it's easy to see this, you know. So having said that, the Star Wars was actually one of my, I find it the most interesting, and the reason why is because I discussed how stars hold data. That makes so much sense. I mean, they're just bursts of electricity. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever seen like how a star looks close up? It's like flickering, right? And it's very similar to what I believe is the Who-man's electrical system and our own orb, if you will, as I call it. Is it's a circular pattern swirling around us, but then also is that light, that energy inside of us. That is the reason why you can raise your hand, why you have thoughts, why you know essentially everything that you do is we can subscribe to the light that is within, right? So it's the same for the stars, and the stores are stars, the stores are all closed. And I discussed how vowels are interchangeable, and I really would like to explain this a little further. Of course, not every single term or word that you come across with the vowels would be interchangeable. I mean, we don't have the codes, right? The source code book, and I don't think any Who-man really does. Sure, the underground and the Vatican have essential knowledge, right? However, they have essential knowledge to the operating system. But I believe that the operating system is an algorithm. I believe it's a SIM card based simulation type quantum field, quantum computer based field, if you will. And from what I can tell is it's a supernatural, you know, magic mirror type. The ceiling is the mirror, the sky is the ceiling, the scry. And I could discuss that topic for half a day. But what I'm getting at is that you can see it a lot, the vowel to the L, the vowels being interchangeable, and some of it is just intrinsic knowledge based on if you have any knowledge of etymology or linguistics, right? Some of it is based on that. Some of it is the psychic ether. The ether is psychic, right? There is a telepathy, if you will, or an ESP that is prevalent, that is accessible. And so some of it is based on that. Some of it is based on knowledge. Some people are not language gifted. They just I noticed this with mathematical people, engineers that are more geared toward numbers, whether it's aeronautical or electrical, whatever the case may be, any type of mechanical engineering, they may be more gifted and talented in the numbers department than language. But language, interestingly enough, is similar to numbers. It's because they're all symbols. You know, they're all angles, English. They're all symbols. And once you start learning or researching, just like the zodiac, you'll start picking up more and more on language. That's what is so fascinating. You think about it, there's only 26 characters, so that's so small, right? So what I'm talking about, the universal language, which is intended to be the language of the Who-Man. That's why it's the universal language. There are other languages that, I mean, I have found in Greek and Latin translations many codes and clues that I have written down over the last year or two. Some great ones. So Latin and Greek, Hebrew are some of the big. Those are some big coded terminology in those languages, in those linguistics. But English is interesting, as there is something very Saturnian about English. There is something very dark magic, if you will, about English. So in Star Wars, I explored these concepts with you, and I explained that the stars hold data and we hold data in our SKULL. Double L is always interesting. Double L is always interesting. Fall, hell, right? So there's a pattern there, and that's what we look for. I mean, it's patterns. So skull, SQLL, is in skull and bones. So stars, storage, stargate, star age, storage, star age. You have an age. Stars have an age. There is a correlation when you add the cross T of the crucifixion. That is the Who-Man holding out his arms. You are the cross. You are the crucifixion. So in storage, and we see storage, we see stargate, right? So we see in history, hi, story with the Y. The Y is huge, as in like galaxy. Y is huge, and that's for another time. But store is in history, as in story. It's a story. You are inside of a story, a fairy tale. You are inside of a scripted quantum-based field manuscript. The manuscript, it's a story. Here's a story. No, I'm just kidding. So isn't the word story interesting? Because it lines up with starry, and storage, right? Which is a container. We're in a contained field, are we not? And even if you subscribe to the notion that there is a firmament, whether you believe it's flat or round where we are, which for me it's just a plane of existence, it's just an experience. So even if you subscribe to the notion it's a firmament, well, ment is mind. You also have a firmament in your skull, that's skull. That's also, you have walls, you have membranes, you have chambers, right? Right? You've got the queen and the king's chambers. You've got a whole chessboard. That's why the Freemasons love the black and white checkerboard. And I'm not joking, and I just laugh at the ridiculousness of it. But they do, and there's a reason. Yes, it's monochromatic, it's black and white, it's the duality of this plane of existence, this experience, and there's no question. The positive, the negative, the yin and the yang, right? However, with with um, with store, the storage system comes the story, and it all ties in together, and it makes so much sense once you realize the correlation of the zodiac to your experience here, which is similar to language, as the angles are just creating or essentially playing out this experience, which I actually it's why I came up with manuscript, because I do believe, I absolutely intrinsically and wholeheartedly believe that you can alter it. You can absolutely alter it. That's why, and I know there's overkill on this likely in the truth community. Free will, right? Free will. So, and if you and by the way, if you look at, if you do any sort of etymological research on F, you will find that it is also TH. So as in there, which is also as in here, and ether, free will, ether will, right? Well, you could also say, since the W and the M are interchangeable, ether mill. And there's no question about that. That is definitely true. And I do firmly believe that we do have a role in this part. We can harness power, decode the system, and essentially crack the code, right? Crack the code, right? And it helps a lot to understand what's going on in the side of the operating system, which is the God, the operating system of the God, that is the energy inside of you. You are the CEO of your script, of your manuscript. So, when you learn your patterns of your zodiac, for example, this can only help you. It's just like language. It's just like the zodiac. All this knowledge is power, and it's, in my opinion, it's much more helpful knowledge than, let's say, useless knowledge and things that we could watch on let's say TikTok, like dog skateboarding. Not that dog skateboarding is not fascinating, and I can see how it can be, but can you imagine the amount of mindless activities going on that people expose themselves to on days on, and with all of us being in fast forward mode as we are, because if you don't notice, I don't know what to tell you, if you don't notice how fast time is moving, well, I suppose ignorance is bliss. You're very lucky, because you're very fortunate if you're not noticing. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation recently with an Ottoman who she had no nothing to say essentially on how fast time is moving. She seemed flustered or befuddled, like she was like, "What do you mean?" I guess it's, yes, Christmas has come sooner, or last year it was just Christmas or something. She said so, something along the lines of more long-term time frames. But I said no, in a daily basis. No, it she did not see this whatsoever. Could not see it. There you go. There you go. That is a sign of a true downloaded, programmed Automon. They can't see it. So for the rest of, for those of us that are real souled beings and not souled with a U, we can see this. We are essentially visitors here in this experience, and we see a lot more with that third eye. Let thy single eye be thy light, right? And we can see very clearly the changes over the last few years, months, weeks. Everything is altered in this holographic field, and it's only moving faster and faster. And the original title of this video for you was well, actually I'm going to keep it. It is Maneater, and the reason why is the moon. As I started off with, the fool's moon, the full moon, she's pregnant with her souls. There's a recycling of souls in the solar system, and she shrinks and she expands. She's she is the Eggman. She is Humpty Dumpty. And if you think the moon is shaped like a sphere or a circle, you might want to look that up, because she's not. She is an egg. She is more shaped like an egg. She is not a perfect sphere, and some of that is the illusion in which we exist, of course. So, but she is, as far as I can tell, analogous in a symbiotic relationship to the pituitary gland. So, this is also a shapeshifter, the pituitary. You can research that on your own, and maybe you don't see the correlations. I see it. It came to me clairvoyantly through the ether without any books or enter with an E net. No, I knew that's the correlation with the moon. So all things in the sky, all elements, all constellations in the sky are directly correlated to the Who-Man. You are the sky magnified, projected by way of the third eye ventricle through the projection of the black hole sun, which are the pupils, expanded out, which is the iris, which is related to the sun and all the elements, all the elements, fire, earth, air, water, right? Watch out, she's a man-eater. So this is an older song, and you can listen to it and or look up the lyrics. I mean, it's a interesting song. So it seems like it's about a woman. Of course, it is. As the moon is Isis, and she is female. She reflects the female side to all of us, the left hemisphere of the brain, which we all have. And the moon is a man-eater. Moon, Monday, month, hormones, Horus, moon, hormones, month, Monday, I, right? Moon. This is all related to the moon. Man, moon, if you believe they put a man on the moon. So moon and man, Who-Man, totally connected. You would not be here if not for the moon. And maybe your first reaction, well, May, I don't want to be here anyway. I didn't sign up for that. Believe me, I understand. I know. I feel your pain. EYE, understand you more than you can ever imagine. I know that. The existential dread is real. So it's hard to exist in this Who-Man, in this avatar. And in my opinion, it is even more difficult, no matter how wonderful things are going. It is even more difficult when the moon is pregnant or full. And that's the case right now. And they're calling this one the strawberry moon. They called this one the micro moon, which is laughable. I mean, I looked outside last night, it looked like she was right over my house. Right over, just hanging there. And we know it's not millions of miles away. And of course, I'll be restricted for saying that. Whatever. So we know that. We know that she is much closer. So there she is in her full on glory, shining bright. It's so interesting. Here's one reason why I wanted to talk about the moon and to you for a moment. I wonder if you notice changes during the moon. Now, I'm not just talking the typical lunatic lunacy. I'm not talking that. I'm talking more. Do you know insomnia, which has the word moon? Do you not sleep as well? Do you struggle with sleep? Do you have very vivid, weird dreams? Very lucid, bizarre dreams? Do you notice your gadgets, your devices, acting strange? I feel it's a sort of reset in each full moon. Now, some of the houses, when some of the big guys like Uranus moved into Gemini, I noticed that too, Saturn, especially the larger malefics, I notice big changes. So that's another topic. But the moon, I always notice, and I feel it's a type of reset. There are changes even in people's patterns of behavior. Let's say you saw them last week before the moon was full and they were in a great mood, and then you see that, of course, people's moods change, so let's not generalize. But I'm just saying it's interesting, the flip. There's a lot of flippancy, like a lot of just dramatic changes and minute changes that we will notice with during the course of almost typically any full moon. So even though they call this one a micro moon, she's still huge and lighting up the sky. And I don't believe that this experience or this existence, I do not believe that we are inside of a system that where there is billions of people existing. I don't believe that. It's interesting as so many people are tied into the numbers game in this system. When I say that, what I mean is, and not to get sidetracked, but I just want to say how everything now, like with the internet, is interesting with numbers, because people are more inclined to watch videos or movies, if it has great reviews and lots of views, millions. I mean, when I look back to like the 90s, and nobody cared about any of that. We're in such a numbers game now. I'm not saying like and things like deficit and debt were always shoved down our throat. It was, but it's even more so now, where numbers are everything. And I just find that fascinating, and I never let it affect my judgment or what I am drawn to, whether it's books or movies or internet. I never let it have. As a matter of fact, when videos come through on my channel, on my YouTube, if it's got hundreds of thousands or millions, I never, I can almost never even give it a second look, or I delete it immediately. Um, Mostly because I know it's agenda forced, and we're in a simulation, and it's just trying to program me, so I don't trust it. So I don't trust it. And as a matter of fact, there was a video recently. A woman was doing. She looked appeared like she was somewhere in the Caribbean, and she was making videos at her kitchen table. But it was really interesting, some of the things she had to say. Actually, quite interesting. And I think she had 2 views. Two, maybe 3. And I thought, of course, because we're in an inverted reality, of course. We don't get how much we follow and our programming forces us or pushes us towards something. And what I encourage you to do is to be the resistance. The OHM, resistance. In electricity, OHM is resistance, which makes a lot of sense, because this system in which we experience this holographic field requires a great deal of resistance, right? It requires resistance just like electricity requires resistance. And that ties into the moon. And what I'm saying is she is Isis, she is dielectric, the sun is electromagnetism. And together, right? Together, that is a great force, and they are both required for us to exist in this field. Now, you could say, well, that's right, Amay. That is required, but again, I didn't sign up to be here. I know that. But the moon being full, and watch out, she's a man-eater, as she recycles the souls, makes a lot of sense. She only comes out at night, in the words of the song, right? She only comes out at night. You don't want me singing because it would go viral, and not in a good way. So that is about the moon. So a lot of lyrics in songs, I can assure you, are related to dark magic, consciousness, the zodiac, the solar system, and all types of waveforms that exist in this field. Like music is not only a frequency, that's why it's a band. A band plays music because it's a bandwidth. So not only is it a band of frequency, the lyrics often are a type of ode, ode or ballad, if you will, to the interdimensional beings, or to the wave systems, if you want to call them that, to the houses of the lords who rule the houses of the zodiac. Could be Mars, could be Mercury, could be Saturn. The mainstream, especially music, that's why Tavistock was huge for the Beatles, and for all many other huge groups. So they're often an ode, or a serenade or ballad, if you will, to the underground forces, and often to the lower dimensional forces. So a lot of songs that you would never have thought of, that you think are about a man or a woman or whatever, they can be to Saturn, they can be to the moon, they can be about the sun and the moon. Even Cinderella fairy tales, Cinderella is about, that's Cinderella, right? Her cat is Lucifer, who in Greek mythology is Venus. So, and that's a whole nother video. But the moon is a man-eater. So this is why, how is the moon a man-eater? Well, you might not sleep as well. There's souls being recycled, more births, there's more deaths, right? Can we agree on that, at least? That's why she's the man-eater. Moon, man, man. And I'm going to conclude this in just a moment. I wanted to say to you, I was absent for a few days, and all I hope from creating my channel is that you give some thought to patterns of the zodiac, patterns in the sky, patterns in your script, your manuscript, and also not just the zodiac in language, but if anybody has ever felt encouraged to log into the analog, that would make me so happy. I have no idea. It's funny because on my channel, um, just a quick heart to heart here. On my channel, it's funny because people will show up out of nowhere. Oh my God, it's so amazing. Amazing, no pun intended. But you know what I'm saying? Like they're really into it, and then they come and they go, and then they vanish. And that's fine. Here's one thing you have to to better harness your power in this matrix, and so that one day it's game over, really, right? Is you have to detach. Detach is a huge part of this whole game. So I love it. Who doesn't love? And I'm a Leo. I love flattery. Oh my God, nobody loves flattery like I do. However, detachment is a big part of it, and for you too, I want you to know that. And I've created videos on many times on the empath being the me path, and never, ever in a narcissistic way. Ever. Never that is meant in narcissistic or in a selfish way. And as a matter of fact, it goes along the same lines as when I say to you, you have an inner G. You are God, right? That is told to you in the Bible. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So it's the same as the me path. And what I mean is that that's not selfish, but it's a harnessing of your power so that when the time comes, you can successfully exit the simulation, the SIM card that we are experiencing, which is changed out every full moon. The SIM card, the holographic system, so that one day that you can game over, exit. Rather than these poor, excuse my French, ignorant Ottomans who will just continue to recycle. Because it's much more than reincarnation. You don't reincarnate, re-rotate. We rotate. It's a circuitry, just like in the electrical field. It's a circuit city, right? So the thing is the me path, or understanding your God within you, is all for you to harness that supernatural power within you, and to do that in a way, not being selfish, but to always have your best interest at heart, for you, which is everything that emanates out of the EYE. And before I close, I want to circle back, no pun intended. There's another terminology we use to keep circling ourselves in here. I want to comment on maneater. What do you see in that, that title, which is symbolic, as that's part of the algorithm? You see emanate. And then you may ask yourself, did the moon eat the E-Man? The E-Man. The E-Man, if you look at the word name, okay, name, you've got E-Man. Well, what logically do you think E-Man could stand for? If you're saying to yourself electrical or etheric, I would say yes. And actually, that's the earthling, right? Earth is so similar to ether, and we are electric. So the E-Man, the moon, is the man-eater, and emanates the E-Man. It's brilliant. So you don't think that these songs, these bands of frequencies that assault our our audio senses on a regular basis? I mean, I'm being sarcastic a little bit, because modern music to me is awful. So I was trying to think of a nicer way to say it, but there's not. So anyway, man-eater, which is from, Hall & Oates from the 80s, and it's about the full moon. It is about the moon. She only comes out at night. They talk about money in the lyrics, mind over matter, and the thing with the moon is the moon will shoot you, no pun intended, just like the stars, right, and the sun. The moon will shoot obstacles your way. The moon will shoot obstacles and challenges left, right, front, and center faster than you can blink. The moon. That is her power. She will charge those emotions. She will negatively, dialectically charge those emotions. And she's real good at it and knows exactly what she's doing. She is ice. Ice is moon, is the moon. Ice is just ice, right? All connected to this demonetized, demonized, lower frequency bandwidth in which we exist. And the thing is these obstacles come at us, these struggles. But you know what? You know what? You inside of the EYE, you have so much power. You are so much bigger and stronger than what she throws at you. Because once you really embrace that you are the energy, the God, the CEO, writing your own manuscript, and that you're in charge, once you really embrace this and learn more and more about your operating system and your aura, also your invisible self, your higher self, orbiting, swirling, spriting, spiriting right around you, that is you. You know, which holds patterns, which holds angles, which holds lifetimes, which holds visions, which holds software based memory, right? Which is the struggle is that which is good in you, which which is predominantly you. However, there is the programming software by way of Demon, Demon, the moon. There is programming software, right? So coming your way, she's the man-eater, but she's not. But she can't take the essence of you, and that is what this little video is primarily about. Is the struggles that we all deal with in this matrix metrics binary encoded system. When we remind ourselves that it is just a sophisticated dream state, that it is just an experience, and that this little avatar that you are in and these experiences thrown at you left, right, front, and center on a daily, hourly, second by second basis, when you start to learn that and realize that you can conquer that you are so much more and so much higher and bigger than that, that much I know. I know what a struggle it is. Trust me when I say that. No matter how wonderful you have it, there is still that element of the existential dread of just existing. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is you could say, well, Amay, that's that's morbid. That's existential dread. You know what? I don't want to end. I don't want to end anything. You know, that's ego talking. I mean, we're not sitting under bed covers with a flashlight, in our preteen years, talking about, ghost stories and and monstrosities. But you know what? You know what? We are the ghost of the machine, because this is a layer of the astral. At this point, there's nothing wrong when you have that little inner self voice. You know that voice, and you say, God, this place is so tough. It's so hard. And sometimes you just don't want to exist in this video game. That is so understandable. And there's that doesn't, we are brainwashed to believe, over many evolutions and cycles of this one experience that you have, which is just a series of different phases, since the day you orbed into here. We are brainwashed to believe that it's bad. It's shame on you to want to not exist here, or to not have fear over, to not have fear about your avatar, or the state of your well-being. Like so many people, it's so funny to me, and I'm about to close, and this is the last thing that I want to say. This is fascinating to me. I'm just going to tell you what's fascinating to me, especially the older groups, when they are hanging on by a thread, and they will do anything to stay in this holographic field. They will do anything, and they will take so many medicines. They will listen to so many doctors, and visit so many doctors, all with the hopes of just hanging on another day, another week. I mean, that is mind blowing to me. That is mind blowing to me. I can tell you right now, any kind of diagnosis, if I had 6 weeks, I would just ride out that 6 weeks. And it does not mean that I don't love I'm so fortunate in so many ways, so don't take that wrong. But at the end of the day, no matter what your avatar has experienced in the script, no matter who you are, no matter your fortune, no matter your luck, no matter your level of society, no matter where you are in the world, your culture, your family, how close that is, no matter what, I don't care. There is still that element. If you are a deeply souled, not sold being, a real spiritual being, not an automaton, and you've lived this many times, perhaps even simultaneously, elements of consciousness living out different dimensions, if that is to be the case, and you are you are the light force in all that I've said. You are the superhero, right? The thing is it's only natural to have those thoughts about, I just, not wanting to be in this game at some point. I don't understand. I think that's more natural for the highly spiritual being than it is the NPCs and the Automatons. I think that they are very attached to the machine. They are very attached to the machine. They are part of the machine. They are a fabric. They are a layer of the fabric of the machine. And then there are those of us transiting through here, right? Just having this experience that are much more. We definitely are the avatar and sitting inside of the large soul, not cell, right? We're experiencing the cell, right? We are experiencing the cell. However, we can see this objectively with that third eye, that pineal, that single eye. We can see this through all these mechanisms. The more and more we learn, the more and more will hatch open for you. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that right now. The more you understand and learn the mechanisms, pituitary, hypothalamus, pineal, not just pineal. That's part of the distraction. It's not just the pineal. You've got the fornix, which is the fornax in the sky. And let me tell you one more thing. Here's an interesting tidbit. Don't you find it, isn't it a coincidence how there's the fornix in the brain, and you've got a king and a queen in their chambers, and what is it to fornicate? What is it to fornicate? And I'm not going to say the word, and I'm certainly not going to, However, there is a famous, widely used, popular term used in our society in this lower vibrational field that begins with an F. And it's fornicating under the king, the command of the king. But I'm not going to say that, and I didn't say it. However, what I'm getting at is the king is in the brain. Goggle it right now. Find a book if you have one, not Facebook, and there is a king and a queen inside the walls of your brain. You have two, the left and the right hemisphere. You have a king and a queen sitting in there, okay? Why? Why do you have this chessboard in your brain? The Freemasons know why, and I'm going to stop right there. So just think about that. You got the fornix. You might want to learn your mechanisms because you are the CEO, you are the God, you are the energy. If you are here listening to any of this, you are not an automaton. An automaton couldn't last here 5 minutes. They wouldn't know half of what I'm saying. I can tell you that right now. They wouldn't know half. They wouldn't know a quarter. They'd be freaked out. They'd get back on TikTok and watch dogs skateboarding. Please, and let them have it. I don't care. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care. Did I say I didn't care? Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'd love to see your thoughts. Jupiter has moved, which is just a waveform. Jupiter has moved into Leo. This is big news, and more on that in some posts and shorter videos to come. But I'd love to see your thoughts on the maneater, maneater, full moon. Now that she starts to shrink and we come out of it. That untrustworthy little shapeshifter that she is once again shrinking. Thank you very much. Adios. And I love to see your thoughts. Thanks. More in the next one. Thanks, guys.